Hey everybody, Crystal with Crystal Clear College Planning here. I wanted to do a video update for you on some of the FAFSA changes that are happening. So first off, typically the FAFSA opens on October 1st. Because of this very big overhaul that they are doing, we expect that sometime in December is when we're going to have that available to us. So they're still continuing to make tweaks and changes and figuring out what works best, but here are the guidelines in regards to what these changes are going to mean for some of us. First off, it's getting a rebranding. They're going to call it the Student Aid Index instead of the EFC, or the Expected Family Contribution. Really, it's just because people kept thinking, well, it says Expected Family Contribution. That's how much I'm expected to contribute. And that's not even what that thing means. That's a whole other video of topic that we could go into. Reality is it's just going to get a new name. And the changes are really what we care about. So the first one is understanding that before, when we had two kids in college, the expected family contribution number would split. So if our EFC was 40 and we had with one kid in school, and then we had two kids in school, it would split down to 20 per student. That is going away for the sake of federal aid. However, I will say that for private schools, it is the discretion of the institution and the financial aid office to then calculate out that you still have 2 or 3 or however many kids in school that you have for them giving their own institutional need-based aid. So there's a differentiator there. The other thing that's changing as well is the small business owners and family farms. Before, it used to be if we had less than 100 employees, we did not have to report our business assets for the sake of the FAFSA. Well, they decided that that was no longer the case, and instead they're going to look at what our adjusted gross income is to then determine how much of the business valuation they're going to calculate out towards an expected family contribution number. So for some families that may not have any impact, and others it could be fairly significant. So we just have to look at what that overall calculation means for us. And then we've got, this is actually one benefit that did occur, is before, when we would have grandparents or other generous humans saving for our students in 529 plans, that money would come out to a student, and it was to be reported on financial aid forms as non-taxable income. Well, that is going away now, and they're saying that you can, have monies set aside in those accounts, and that reporting no longer has to happen. And the negative impact was that when money came out to a student as non-taxable income, it could reduce down our need-based aid significantly because they assess that at such a high amount. So now we've got at least some flexibility on some other people that may be willing to save for our kids. And then also they're increasing the amount of the federal Pell Grant. So they're trying to be more generous to lower to middle income families. So the way that they're changing the formula is supposed to allow for more students to be eligible for 2023-2024 school year. That maximum Pell Grant amount is $7,395. So that could be something that also benefits some of those other students that have more of that need. So those are some updates for you at this point in time about the changes that are happening with the FAFSA. For families that were filing financial aid forms, the process is going to be the same as it is for us every year. We're going to start gathering the data and information in the fall that we need to have everything prepped and ready to go for financial aid forms, so that when they open and there aren't any glitches in the system, that it is then safe to file. And we work through that whole process in that same way with any additional financial aid forms. So we've got the FAFSA, we've got CSS profile, some of them we've got institutional specific financial aid forms. So that whole process is going to be happening here for those of you that have seniors soon to be. And so just be aware of how, if you filled out financial aid forms before, things may look a little bit different now. Oh, one of the other changes too, I don't think I mentioned this one, is as well for parents that are divorced. This is a good one too. Because what happened before is they would say, well, whoever the student lived with 12 months out of the year, or whoever the student lived with the most in a 12-month period was the one that we were supposed to use on financial aid forms. And then we'd always say if you split them equally, then it would be whoever provided the most support. And yet again, if you split that, then we like to use whoever looks best on paper for the sake of the calculation. And now they're just taking away who the student lived with, and they're just looking at, well, who contributed financially more to the student, which is a very kind of vague thing. But that also can kind of add to some strategies around that side of the conversation. And as well, any child support that is received is no longer reported as income, which actually could reduce down our aid more. It's reported as a one-time asset. So if you got $12,000 that year in child support, instead of it being part of our income, now it's going to be a $12,000 asset that has to be reported. Even if that money isn't there, that's how they're asking to see it. So great to see you guys. Make sure to follow our page for more fun updates in regards to college admissions and financial aid, and I'll see you next time.